Hey guys, how y'all doing? So before I head out today, I wanted to jump on here right quick to share a little thought with you this morning. I have been for the last 3 days, I just really been taking some time out and just spending it, if you will, with God. And so sometimes when you find yourself um, off and spending time with God, a lot of times when you come up out of it, um, the enemy is right there. For example, when Jesus was, when Jesus went up to, when he was led by the Holy Spirit for 40 days and 40 nights, when he came out of that 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. And a lot of times, like when I woke up this morning, and the first thing when I hit the floor, a thought came across my mind, and it was like, because I've been asking God, for some clarity about some different things. So the first thing that hit my mind this morning was, a lot of times folks compare themselves to you. And in their comparison, they feel like they can do and be who you are. A lot of times people put you on the pedestal, and sometimes you can't help it because that's your environment. So that person that's around you become your biggest influencer. So a lot of times you want to mimic some of the things and characteristics of what they do. But in doing that, what I've found out is a lot of people sometimes they hit a brick wall because they're not able to emulate some of the strategies that you have demonstrated in front of them. So a lot of times they hit brick walls. And then when they hit the brick walls, sometimes because they found, or maybe they are hard on themselves, and because they found out that, hey, maybe I should have got a little bit more instructions on how my influencer was doing certain things. Maybe I should have got a little more clarity, because they find out that when they start trying to emulate, mirror, like you're looking in a mirror, you see yourself, and so you want to emulate those different things, characteristics of that influencer. So a lot of times, you hit a brick wall. And when you hit a brick wall, you're like, man, how do they do this? How do they do that? I've been asked, how do you do it? And I assumed that the individual at the time was speaking about, how do I do life? How do I juggle kids? How do I juggle work? How do I juggle every day just being motivated and getting up and doing things? I assumed that that's what they were speaking of because of the situation. I might have should have got some clarity, but my answer to the question was, there was many days that I had got into my Bible and I read my Bible and I asked God for some clarity. And I also, not only did I get in my Bible, I used to fast all the time, when I was raising my kids. I can remember I had 5 and I would fast all the time. And I believe that's how this weight stayed off of me too. But anyway, a lot of times, this is what came to me this morning. a lot of times, and I'm going to accept it as my truth because I'm tired of beating myself up about it, you know, and accepting their lie as my truth. So I'm going to accept it as what was given to me this morning. What was given to me this morning is, like I said, a lot of times people emulate you. They see you on the outside and they want, as people do, oh man, I want that house. I want that car. Oh man, I want her husband, because he's such a good man, or her car, her job. People want what you got. And we already know that. But when they try to emulate it, they find out that, wow, it doesn't look as easy as I seen it looking on the outside. And so when they find out that, man, I'm keep hitting a brick wall. See, they didn't see you hitting the brick wall. They didn't see your husband talking down on you. They didn't see that your car needed a whole engine. They didn't see that your house needed a AC in it. They didn't see that because they was looking on the outside. And so I woke up this morning and this is what God gave me. They compare themselves to you, and then without seeking clarity and knowledge and wisdom on how you do what you do, they try to emulate you. And once they find out that emulating you is not getting them the results that they see that you have, then they become resentful of you. And being resentful of you is because they put you on this pedestal. They say you was perfect to themselves. They have the perfect life over there. They said that I want to be just like them. But they didn't know that you go through what you go through in order to get the results. Or even sometimes that you might at inside be crying, and on the outside you're trying to keep it together for other people. Okay? So they didn't ask for clarity. And then when they try to emulate you or do the things that you do to have the things that they see that you have on the outside, then when they start bumping their head against brick walls, and then they have resentment. And then with this resentment, they look for someone. And what I've heard throughout these last couple of days, I was researching, and I heard this very famous person make a quote, and the quote was that people look on the outside and want what you have from the outside, never to bother to get to know the ins and outs. And then when they figure out that, hey, I'm not getting those results, then because of what they put out in atmosphere, their resentment, they come in contact with people who give them validation for their resentment. For example, I've noticed, and I'm not speaking against my kids or anything of that nature, but I've noticed that I think I was a pretty fair mom. But I've noticed that they get involved with people who don't have a pretty, fair mom. I've had one child that got in a relationship. His mom, the mom of the person that he was in a relationship with, was on drugs. And this is nothing against it, but I'm going to show you how the validation come into play and how we don't really recognize this validation is a trick of the enemy to cause division. Okay, so I had a son that got in a relationship and her mom was on drugs. Her mom stole. Was steal just to get the kids a toy or something. And they thought that was awesome. And then I had someone that got in a relationship. I'm talking about my experience and how I get clarity from this. And then they got in a relationship, and then the other individual, parent, mom, walked out on them. And you can hear these people saying, my mom wasn't there, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And you can tell that the person that admire you, or I can say, well, the person that admire you and looked up to you, you can hear the person saying, I don't know how they talk about their mom like that. And then they got in another relationship, and the individual was like, well, my mom is not there for me. Like your mom. You got your mom to help you. You see what I'm saying? That's why you hear the saying, majority of the time, if you're a married couple, you shouldn't be seeking advice from a single person. That's what a lot of times you hear, because a lot of times a single person, especially one that has, you got to make sure that this person really has an open mind about situations and not seek fairness, but seek justice. You understand? Justice is not fair. It's just. Okay? So what I'm saying is, a lot of times, you'll go outside of your atmosphere, and then when the resentment step in, because you're bumping your head, because you're trying to emulate the person that you think has it all together. Because you're looking on the outside. You're not getting to know that person. You're looking on the outside. You want the results that that person has. But when you seek clarity, understanding, and knowledge, then you will find out, well, did you bump your head doing this? Did you bump your head doing that? And so you will be better prepared when you go out here emulating people. And then it won't turn into resentment. And now the resentment is anything that I can find fault. I'm looking for fault, some kind of fault, to make me validate this resentment that I have in this individual. Well, yeah, she wasn't perfect. She didn't even talk to me and explain to me these different things. You didn't seek clarity. You took it upon yourself. A lot of times they take it upon themselves to, oh, I got this. Because the person that you're looking up to, the person that you're saying is perfect, makes it look easy. Makes it look very easy. So I just want to share that with you guys, and I don't want I don't want you to beat yourself up, because I want you to accept that's my truth. That's my truth. And I don't know why it comes into play. It comes into play a whole lot. People want what you got. And if they can't get it on their own by doing what they see you do, without seeking clarity or some kind of direction, everybody got their own walk. That's why the Bible said, do not covet what your neighbor has. And T.D. Jakes always say, I want what God has for me, not what he gave you. I want what he has for me. When you want what God has for you, God will sustain you. God will equip you for what he has for you. But when you want to do it like other people's, and then you need to ask for clarity, and you need to ask for instructions on how they did it. And then you make a sound judgment whether I want to do it that way or not. Never look on the outside and expect to get what somebody else has worked so hard for. That's just like burglars coming into your house and stealing and taking all your hard-earned possessions that you have worked for. You don't want to put in the hard work, but then you want to come in and take whatever I got. So I just wanted to say that to you guys this morning. It's something I have been praying about, and it just jumped on me this morning. And God, I believe he's going to release me from it, because I'm going to accept this truth that he gave me this morning. And the truth he gave me this morning is because a lot of times people look on the outside. Then they try to emulate you without asking for clarity or instructions. And then it becomes resentment when they don't get the results that you have. And then they look for validation in other people. Or other people just gravitate to them because that's what the energy that they are putting out in the atmosphere. Because The enemy will give you that because it causes division. It causes division. See, when you ask a question, when you're speaking to people, you're getting intimate with them. Just for example, if you go to the club and you're a girl dancing with the guy, but once they sit down in the corner, have a drink, and their communion and conversation, they're getting intimate with each other. Then it's time to get married. So instead, and then they resent you. And now, in everything that you do, they're looking for fault. Because they're saying, why didn't you save me? Why didn't you save me from all this? Why didn't you tell me that this is how it really is? And I have an answer to that. You wasn't ready. You was not ready. And that's another subject. We can do that later. I just want to get that out. A lot of times people compare themselves to you. They might admire you, they look up to you, and then it become a comparison, which is not a good thing. And then it becomes, I can do what she did, without asking instructions or clarity on how. How does she do that? How does she do that? How does she get those results? I remember one time my daughter did ask me. She said, Mom, how do you do it? I don't know. I probably should have went into depth, but I was thinking she was saying juggle kids, go to work, mentally stressed about different things. I thought she was meaning that. And I was like, I read my Bible, I fast, and things of that nature. I offered to assist her in doing what I did. But you can't tie people down, chain them down, and make them seek clarity and give them instructions. They have to want it. They have to want it as bad as they want what you got. And then they have to take responsibility. You put me on that pedestal. You told yourself you wanted that. Like people say, I want that car. Why he get that car? Why she got that house? How she get that man? People say it all the time. But they'll say it, but they won't go to the person. Girl, what are you doing? What are you doing to get the results that you're getting? Was it hard? Is it difficult? No one will ask those questions. And I do believe that's why COVID-19 came. A lot of it comes, and God works it out for his good, to get rid of pride. There's a lot of prideful people going on here. You have to seek clarity. Don't jump to conclusion. And if you can't seek clarity, if I try to say, okay, how would I feel if I was in your shoes? And then I'll come to you and I'll talk to you and I'll ask, well, what are you going through? Well, how are you going to get from that stage to this stage? This lady told me years ago, I think I was pregnant with Moshe, and the lady told me years ago, she said, you got a crib? I said, no, I ain't got my crib yet. She said, you got a car seat? I said, no, ma'am, I ain't got that yet. She said, I said, I ain't asked nobody, because, I don't want to bother nobody, whatever. She said, well, let me tell you something. She said, my Bible says you have not because you ask not. And the reason why you're so confused and you don't have what it is, the equipment to go out and do certain things is because you ask not. I got it. I could do it myself. I want the same results you got, but I got it. I'm going to do it myself. Now you're looking for someone to blame because you're resentful because you hit your head 20 different times. Now you're looking for someone to blame. Without even seeking any further clarity. You got your mind made up. So I just wanted to say that today. Seek clarity, guys. I know there was many questions going through people's heads saying, what is Monique doing on Facebook now? But nobody came and confronted me and said, girl, what are you doing? And that's how I talk. I even talk. That's probably why my kids say you talk so much. Because I talk the way I want you to give it back to me. I want you to understand and I want you to give it back to me the same exact way so that I can have clarity. So I can be clear. I got it, Ma. I got it. Okay, I just want to make sure. I want you to have clarity. She just go on and on and on and on and on about a subject. Yeah, without arguing, I want you to be clear. For one, I don't want to have to repeat this. I feel like life is too short to having to repeat something that could have been clear in the first time. And I'm not saying that you won't have to repeat something and you won't bump your head. But don't make other people feel like they was insignificant because you wanted to do your comparison. You wanted what they had without asking for clarity. So I hope that's what we have learned throughout COVID-19 and coronavirus. If you didn't learn it, I learned it. And I learned that I'm going to accept the truth for what it is. See, when people start making you feel guilty and condemning you, that's the devil all in that. Persecuting you, putting you in the fire. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Putting you in the fire for no apparent reason. Every move I made from the age of 14 to the age 45 was with my kids in mind. Every job, every man, relationship, friendship. I don't need no pat on the back. And will I do it again the same way? Yes, I would. But it do bothers you when it's coming from people that you did it for. But instead of going off the deep end, I sought clarity. I tried to go to the individual and seek clarity, but the individual don't want to talk about it. Or I'm not understanding them. Or I don't know how to say it. So I couldn't seek clarity there. So I went to another source. So I'm going to take my truth that I got this morning and I'm going to be done with it.